South India's #1 travel brand. You know you are special when you're with GT Holidays.
Hello, Neeraj Pandey. Welcome to Galatta Plus. Very lovely to meet you. Before we start the interview, I really have to ask you, what's this lovely, wonderful old typewriter doing out here? It's a prop.
Yeah, it's. I tend to keep something or the other from all the projects that we do.
Okay.
This one was used in Rustam.
Okay.
The cane that you see over there was part of special ops.
Okay.
Turned out to be pretty expensive because we didn't shoot it in Dubai from where we got this one.
Okay.
So, yeah, just memories.
Just
yeah.
memories. Okay. This is a question I've wanted to ask a lot of writer directors, but I'm asking you, when you sit down to write, are you able to compartmentalize the director part of you and send them packing so that you don't write things like close up or, like you don't imagine the scene while you're writing it?
No, and it's a very conscious effort not to do that.
Okay.
And at the same time allowing you as a writer to chase whatever that you want to do and all that, but also looking at it as to how visually it would sit in the scheme of things. So as much I would like to be schizophrenic about it, but I see that there's more merit in acknowledging it. Yeah.
Okay, because I've read a lot of both sides, right? Where some people say that when you write, pack off the visual elements of it, not totally, but like things like long shot and things like that, because you really want to concentrate on the story, on the characters, on what's happening to the people, rather than how it is happening like on the screen. So I just thought I'd ask you how you.
To each his own, her own, I guess. Na? There's some people who are comfortable that way, and you can't dismiss it or run it down either.
Right.
And it helps me, so I go with it. And I essentially feel that it's more like a process that you are comfortable with, right?
Right.
And I'm comfortable that way. So
That's it. Okay. Love the title of Sikandar Ka Muqaddar. Obviously, it's a great spin on the older film.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me, starting from A Wednesday, just your feature films alone, right up to this, what was the germ of the idea that made you, like, say, I need to develop this into a plot?
The germ was a simple one line about a cop and a suspect and their journey over a certain period of time. Where
This
you
is
don't
for?
know. This is for Sikandar.
Right.
You asking about?
Every film of yours.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a newspaper article, sometimes it's a book that I've read, sometimes it's just a line in a
So
book.
what was it for A Wednesday, for instance?
Newspaper article, yeah. It was, the blast had happened and it was in the air, actually, the emotion of it, right? And it was written in very quick time because everything was very clear. It was very lucid. So, just tapping into something that was going in probably everyone's mind, yeah.
Yeah, and Special 26.
Newspaper article.
Again.
It stayed with me for a long time. This was around 2000, 2001 when I had read an article about the top 10 heists that had happened in this country. And there was this Tribhuvandas Jhaveri case. So it stuck with me, yeah.
Right. And Baby?
Baby was my experiences meeting up with people from the armed forces and agencies and basis my interaction with them, yeah.
And you just, like, were you interacting with them for some reason, like for a project that you're putting together?
So what happened interestingly was that after Wednesday, it sort of became a pattern that, you start moving in one direction, you start meeting a certain kind of people. And that's exactly what happened. So a lot of cops, army men, ex-servicemen came into my lives for some reason or the other. There was no magnetic pull over there, but it just happened and kept happening on a regular basis. So I even people from RNAW and IB and the other agencies. A lot of people started, I started bumping into a lot of them and had a lot of conversations, and so one thing led to another, yeah.
Right. And that seems to have become over time. In your films, you can see some of these elements, like it's cat and mouse or, race against time or lots of uniform people or whether they're wearing uniform or not.
Yeah.
Those things kind of, I thought they were just your interests. Like you were, like some people are interested in certain things. So that's kind of what it is. So.
Yeah, I mean, this and a lot of other things as well. I mean, you're interested in sports, so MS was a result of that.
Right.
I used to play cricket and had a lot of interest. And finally, it went off with the making of the film because you invested so much in that. Yeah.
Right. And Ayari.
Ayari again, people from the Ministry of Defense, ex-army men.
Wow. Oromek, the new one.
Again, the germ started. I mean, this was from my growing up years, and it's based on a guy who used to be in my locality, and something similar had happened to him.
Right.
And we were kids, we were growing up, and there was this 40-year-old guy. And there was this amazing mystery about him and his past. And that sort of manifested into this.
Right. And the new one.
Sikandar, I think Vipul, my co-writer on this one, and I was chatting on something, and he was narrating me something. It was completely different genre, completely different project. And I remember very clearly that I just drifted while he was talking. I just lost him somewhere. And the one line that sort of just stuck was like, what if we have a cop and a suspect? An unresolved scenario that spans over a certain period of time, and both of them are very diligent, tenacious.
Right.
The cop is extremely sure about what his instincts are saying, and the suspect is just sort of getting harassed at every given point of time just because the cop has got an instinct about him. And that plays out over a certain period of time, and how it destroys the cop's life and the suspect's life and what happens in the aftermath.
Right. So, what is the key to, because when you say heist thriller, there is a certain something that forms in people's minds, right? Like, that's because over years we've seen so many heist thrillers.
Yeah.
So, what is the key to staying in the genre and yet making it your own?
The story itself will ask you in terms of your approach, right? And for me, the key elements are still about wit, about emotions, about the fact that you keep the audience guessing,
Right.
and navigating through the story in the most interesting manner possible. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but I mean that's the idea.
As a writer, in terms of influence, can you name something that you saw and it just blew your mind and said, oh, wow, this has broken the mold of storytelling? Like something that just pops up immediately when I ask you this question.
A lot of, screenwriting, definitely a lot of films, lots and lots of films.
Just anything.
Billy Wilder.
Okay.
And L.A. Diamond was his co-writer.
Louis Diamond, yeah.
Yeah. And those scripts are fabulous. The scripts that Navketan did, amazing scripts, right? From the romantic ones to the thriller ones and all that. So ahead of the curve, yeah, really ahead of the curve.
Right.
And Frank Capra again.
Frank Capra and you, I'm not able to kind of
Relate.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, happens.
Billy Wilder, yes, there's a certain darkness there. Navketan, sure, but Frank Capra's sunshiny, like very optimistic, very...
Which work of mine did you find pessimistic?
Not pessimistic, but there's a certain, how do I put it? Capra, in fact, there's a word called Capricorn, because,
Capra-esque.
Capra-esque, because a lot of his work is considered today, but today's audiences, they say it's considered very corny, because it's like, famous one being It's a Wonderful Life or something like that.
It's a Wonderful Life at least has got about 25 or more film plots in that one single film.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing screenplay. It's an amazing, amazing screenplay. So, it's a tutorial. So even if you see it in my work or not, doesn't matter.
Yeah, for
But
you
the
it was
fact, yeah, for me it's a masterclass in script writing.
Yeah, and when you look at that, something like that, it just seems so out of the box because it starts on such a like a dark note, and then it just
Yeah.
keeps rising and rising and
Right.
rising, and it's just a like a very human story
Yeah,
about
yeah.
everything. So
Amazing. Yeah.
which among your films, and I'm including Sikandar, I mean, because you've done so much work, I'm not including your series now because let's not talk about that.
I haven't done too much work, but yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
but you know what I mean, right? It's
Yeah.
like, which among your film plots, when you were writing them, was the toughest to crack?
no, I don't sit down to write unless I have cracked it in my head.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I don't
You
sit.
you were able to remember everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Without, you have little napkin notes,
nothing,
this thing?
nothing.
Nothing at all?
No.
You don't jot down anything?
no.
You don't diary notes?
No.
It's all stays in your head?
I hope so.
Wow,
I hope so,
that's
yeah.
interesting. Okay. So you crack it in your head, you keep thinking about it, and then...
Yes.
Okay, like which one was the toughest to kind of...
Took the longest to sit down. I mean, I could put it that way. Yeah. I mean, it would have to be Baby, only because of two reasons. While I was sort of getting ready with it, a couple of films came out which had very similar plot lines.
Okay.
And I had to change. The original script of Baby was very different from what you have now. So, I mean, since those two films came out, I had to take another direction with the characters
Right.
and the plot. Yeah.
When something like that happens, you have a full formed thing in your head.
Yeah.
A film comes out, and you're like, "Oh shit! Now this part has to change." Does that change take a while because this is already formed, right? A bit.
Yeah.
That change, you just wait for it to like settle down and say it happens when it happens.
Yeah, and many a times the change doesn't happen.
Okay.
And you should be strong enough to pull the plug. Not a big deal. Sometimes, you're chasing an idea, something has come out, and actually what has come out is better than what you were thinking. That's when you know that, okay, I mean, you were pretty late in tapping into that idea, right? So you hold back, you let it go.
Right.
So it happens both ways. Sometimes you let go, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you try and fix it.
Does your mind ever say, "Damn it! I spent 1 year thinking about
No,
this"?
no.
You don't think about that at all.
No, not at all. Not
Right.
At all.
You're just very calm about the whole process.
Yeah, I mean, what's there to do?
I know, but you can get agitated about it.
No,
You
not
you
at
can
all.
break things. You can
Agitation won't have got me here.
So there's a line that I read that you said, "Every film is born of a desperation."
Yeah.
Why desperation? The need to tell a story?
The need to tell that story.
Okay.
Not the need to tell a story, because I mean that's pretty okay. But the need to tell that particular story, you should be. I mean, it should drive you crazy, right? To a
Right.
certain extent, that you end up writing it, you end up having a team on that, and working with some of the best minds in their departments, and then try and create something. So yeah.
So what was the desperation in Sikandar? Why did you say, "I need to tell this story"?
So for me, the most important thing and the differentiator as far as Sikandar ka Muqaddar is concerned is that I had not done a character play of this nature.
Okay.
I had not written something like this before, where you actually go deep dive into like what these two people are going through.
Okay.
So it was pretty incisive, and the medium allows you. I felt so, and also the fact that the end is something that is pretty unique for me, and I've never done anything like that. So yeah, I mean, few things like that.
You know, when you're writing a story, one of the things that comes up in your work often is sometimes more than the main people, the protagonist or the, like the one, some of these characters on the side, they come off as very colorful, well developed, very rounded, very sharp, well delineated, even though they might just appear for, like Jimmy Shergill in A Wednesday. Even when you're developing the story in your head, is it just a straight, like, this is the start, this is how the story progresses, and then when you're writing, you get all these side characters in, or is that also part of the universe inside your head when you're developing?
You start with something, right?
Right.
And then obviously when you're writing it, then there are certain things that organically come into play.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the key to it is that you should have respect for all the characters. It's not just for your lead in some way or the other. And
That's a nice way to put it, respect, yeah.
Yeah, and because I have dealt mostly with ensembles, most of the films that we've done are strong ensembles. So automatically, I mean, you end up respecting these characters. Yeah.
Right. So, and that respect leads to
Obviously,
like wanting to.
Yeah. You don't neglect them, right?
Neglect them.
So, yeah.
You mentioned stuff as a writer. As a director, who are some of the formative influences on you? Again, I know there are probably many, but.
Yeah, I mean, some of the names that I mentioned are writer-directors themselves, right?
Right,
So, I mean, again, going back to that, I was born, brought up in Bengal, so again, we used to have these afternoon slots when we used to see regional cinema. So Balachandra was a strong influence again, and one of my favorite films has been Ek Duje Ke Liye, for that matter, again. So yeah, I mean, you learn from all of them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
that film would be considered very irresponsible today.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You don't think people will be up in arms about, you know, that it's encouraging people to die if your love is not satisfied? And I have a feeling the Twitter would kind of have a nice little time about it. So.
Who cares?
Who cares? The key to a long film career.
It's a fantastic film. It has outlived, you know, so many films, and still, you know, I can watch that film from anywhere.
Right. So that's an interesting thing that you say. For example, you know, when somebody asks me, name any film that you like, that kind of thing, I say, you know, typically it's a cliche, but Godfather, right? It's like just something that because there are so many films, you can't name one, but one pops up, something like that. It's The Godfather. But then I'm never sure whether because of my age and my having seen it at a very formative age, that film is relevant. And whether I always wonder, are kids today still watching Godfather? I don't know. So when you say Ek Tujhe Ke Liye is still relevant, I'm having that question. Is it like if a what do you call it, Gen Alpha or whatever it is today, if they saw that film, what is your gut feel? Do you think they'll kind of take to it?
No, times have changed. I mean, the generation today is very different. They'll have their own favorites, and we had our own. They'll have their own.
Right.
That's not to dismiss that they've got bad taste.
Right.
Right.
Right. So I was not questioning the relevant. It's still relevant part. You're saying the storytelling holds.
The storytelling holds. The making holds. The writing holds.
Right.
It just still seems fresh, you know, and because the premise is so eternal,
right,
that it will outlive.
Yeah, defined.
Yeah.
You never done that kind of a young love story, such as part of your. This one was that. Yeah.
Someday. Yeah.
A Wednesday was released in 2008, so that's just about 15 plus years that you've been here.
Yeah.
What's the key to a successful career? Not breaking things, not breaking a sweat is what you said, but apart from that.
So actually we overrate the so-called success failure thing in our business, I guess. I mean, life, I feel that is a little more interesting than that. And yeah, I mean, there's something by Kipling, I'm forgetting how it reads, but it's on the wall of the Wimbledon changing room about the two imposters.
Okay.
It's from If.
If, okay.
Yeah.
You'll be my man, my son, that one. Yeah, okay. I remember the ending of it. I don't remember the rest.
The success failure thing. He talks about those two imposters. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's okay. As long as you get to do what you want to do. I mean, that's what matters, yeah.
You get to do something because you succeed in something, right? Isn't that right?
Because we succeeded. It would be stupid to assume that, you know, I did it on my own, right?
No,
I mean,
right.
We've had a fantastic team over the years, and it's like a well-oiled machine, and they are quick to point out if there's something that's not quite, you know, meeting our own standards. Forget about the audiences. So brutal. And I think the bigger success lies over there in creating that particular team and creating that ease that, you know, you can exchange ideas, you can talk about, you know, how it should be, and etc. etc. So yeah,
I agree with what you're saying in a way, but then because film is teamwork, but the point is even the names that you mentioned, I.A.L. Diamond, Billy Wilder, you know, Frank Capra, K. Balachandar, Nav Ketan, Vijay Anand, whatever it is, they are known as names. Neeraj Pandey is a name. I mean, nobody says Neeraj Pandey and team have been around for 16 years. They say Neeraj Pandey has been around for 16 years. That's how we say it, right?
And it would be foolish of me to believe that myth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you say that, Neeraj?
No, it's and
You are putting together the team for a film.
but yeah, it's okay. I mean,
It's your idea. I'm not saying you own the entire film. I'm not
Right,
saying that.
right.
But I'm saying that in a way, the instigator of a project, the person who says, I have an idea, I'm going to write it, I'm going to...
Right.
That's you. So...
but it's not just me, is what I'm trying to say. So I mean, in all humility, I'm not discounting my own work in that sense. But I'm just saying that it's a process that I can't claim to be just mine.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what filmmaking is, right? I mean, you still have a DOP, you still have a costume designer,
You have
you
your
still have a
actors.
production designer, and you have actors.
Yeah.
हमारे यहाँ तो मतलब if an actor has delivered a line, there's so many people who believe that the actor has himself or herself written that line, right?
Yeah.
So the writer is thrown out of the window. So
This
I
is some
mean,
kind of
that's-
reverse psychology, I think.
Yeah.
So, but all the best for Sikandar.
Thank you so
Muqaddar.
much.
Really
Thank
looking forward to it because I personally love heist films. But what I liked in the trailer was there seemed to be a lot of angst in the movie.
Yeah.
And more than just catching the criminal, there seemed to be something personal about it. And I don't know, I seem to pick up. I mean, I picked up on it. I don't know whether it's actually there in the movie or not. But
You're right. You're right about that. Yeah.
okay, so that's something that I'm looking forward to between Avinash and Jimmy. So all the best.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
South India's #1 travel brand. You know you are special when you're with GT Holidays.